Right, Jablonec 2, Celtic 4 is the final score from the Czech Republic. I feel pretty good about that. There was obviously bits of the performance that we can chat about, bits of the performance that need a lot of work. I think the defence mainly, but I thought there was a lot of positives there. And I think we'd all have taken 4-2 before the game. And we've got Stevie and David on with me. David, come to you first. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, I think everybody would have taken 4-2 at the start of the night. But, when you look at the goals we actually did concede, I think that adds a layer of concern to the evening. Just not impressed with the defence at all, Hamish. I think it's going to be one of the main concerns if we will progress through this tie. I think it's going to be one of the main concerns in the playoff round if we don't address it urgently, if we don't bring another centre back in. I'm aware of the positivity that will be going around tonight because of the result and some of the performances from the forward players. But it's chalk and cheese how well the attack's operating compared to the defence for me. And I think it's a Celtic team with two major stories about it. The attack and the defence, they're both so contrasting just now.
That's not the defence we're going to see all season, though, is it? I mean, we're going to sign a right back, and we're surely going to. It's not going to be near beat on at centre back this season for us, no?
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Well, we've waited this long. We've sacrificed the UEFA Champions League with this backline, so hopefully it won't be left too much longer or too late in the day. But, won't dwell on that too much tonight. There was a lot of positives, I thought, going forward. Lila Bada looks so impressive.
19 years old.
Yeah,
19.
you forget that. You forget that, don't you? Because he plays with such a maturity about him, such an enthusiasm. I can't remember the last winger we had that was so direct. It's his first thought, having a go at his man, getting beyond him, trying to make himself a goal-scoring threat. He could have had a hat-trick tonight. Some of the chances he created through his own movement into the penalty box. I think he probably has Kyogo Furuhashi to thank for some of his openings as well. I thought that guy's off-ball movement was so impressive to watch. Kept the Jablonec defenders occupied all night. There's a lot of positives going forward for me. Furuhashi and Abada will dominate the headlines, though, and quite rightly so.
Right, we'll chat about the game, Stevie, but we need to talk about the big debut tonight, Mr. Charlie Mulgrew in the co-coms. That's the main talking point. What did you make of his kind of first shot there?
I was brilliant. You've got to have Charlie Mulgrew on that every week, commentating on our games. Imagine he was in Celtic TV. The part would be. I mean, that is worth the fee alone. Thought
the season ticket would have been worth it if he'd have been on last season.
Charlie Mulgrew to you, but I thought that it was a right good laugh, and even at one point, I think when the commentator was just asking about Dundee United, instead of just your generic, I'm getting on all right, he just goes on for about 5 minutes about how much he's loving it and how much he's enjoying being back up Scotland again. 10 out of 10 performance from the big man.
What about the game, Stevie? We've done the bad, we've done the Abada. What else do you want to comment on?
God, am I going to have to put up with these every time on your channel? Terrible. I personally felt my shtick of saying 4-5-0 Celtic every week is away now, Hamish. As you know, I'm not that type of fan. I don't think Celtic have a right anymore of just going, you're just going to turn up and win. We have to work hard to win. That's the reality now for the Celtic side, especially now where we are. But I did expect, as soon as we made it 1-0, I didn't have the feeling of Midtjylland about it. It felt like we're going to push on and get a few. And that wasn't being arrogant, it was just because the way that we started so positively, but also because I felt Jablonec, with the greatest of respect, I thought they were really, really poor. Technically, they had nothing. They didn't have any player that I thought, God, he's going to really give us a hard time. And I think when you combine the fact that our off-the-ball movement of our front three was just a bit too much for that defence of theirs, which was some going, considering they managed to make our defence look the least bad out of the two sides, which says a lot. I felt as if Celtic did deserve that tonight, and I'm not getting carried away, because what's the most important thing for us? The win's good, Hamish, but it's how we build on it now. We have to build on that, and we have to keep that momentum going, because we go to play Dundee at the weekend. After a performance like that, you're looking for the same again. But if we, go and drop points and whatever, you're going from there back down to there again. And that's the one thing this team can't afford. They can't afford any setbacks after a bit of positivity like that. This team can't afford that right now, because they'll end up crumbling. So it's very, very vital that we just keep on the upward trajectory now.
Happened far too often last season, didn't it? We maybe got the occasional good result, and then a couple of days later you felt we turned the corner, and then a couple of days later we went and lost to Ross County or whatever. Plixiplock's getting in touch. Hart had a very Barcast game, no worldy saves, but not really at fault either. It's we have a poor defence. Starfelt needs to get fit. Thanks for the donation as well. I should say, everyone watching this, we've made the chat subscriber only, so you need to be subscribed, I think, for a day before you can comment. So just bear that in mind. You may be able to work out why that's the case, but we will move on. We'll chat about the front three or the front four, David, because Stevie's already touched on it, but I thought the movement was just brilliant tonight. We started without Edouard, which I thought in itself was a pretty big statement from the manager. And I don't think we missed Odsonne Edouard at all tonight from the start. I thought Furuhashi was excellent. I thought his movement was brilliant. His touch was brilliant. His goal was brilliant. I think he's going to be a star.
Yeah, absolutely. His goal was superb. It's what we'd see European strikers do to us on a regular basis in European ties. We've gotten so used to our centre forwards taking 5 or 6 touches before they decide to get a shot off and goal. It was good to see such efficient strikers play for a change. Talk about the front 3 or 4. For me, it's just the story of the front 2, Abada and Furuhashi. They're the ones that take the credit tonight. I wasn't particularly impressed by a few around them. I must admit, I didn't think James Forrest had his best game tonight. David Turnbull, for me, needs to wake up a bit. I've not been impressed with him since we've come back to competitive action. But Stevie's spot on. The team needs to stay grounded. I think we're lulled into thinking, because it's a European game, it's a tough game. You can play bad teams in the qualifiers, a European competition. And I thought we were up against a poor one tonight. But one of the main complaints with Celtic in the last couple of games has been their chance creation and the lack of clinical edge with how many chances they've created. I heard the commentary team have a bit of a pop at it tonight, but I think when you score 4 goals, that's a promising sign. I don't think you can complain about chance creation, chance conversion rate tonight. I thought it was pretty positive. We could have won the game. I'm hearing 5-6 or 7-0 or 7-2. You can't expect to win a game 5-6 or 7-2. If we are scoring at the rate we did tonight on a regular basis, we can be pleased with what's happening going forward. So the signs are good in that respect. But you weren't up against a great team, and it's going to be a massive step up when we play AZ Alkmaar. And if people think tonight was a tough game, we'd be in for a shock, I think, against the Dutch side. So it's good that we have some players firing going forward and some promising signs in that respect. But it's why I keep going back to the defence. That really needs sorted before we play Alkmaar if we're going to qualify for the Europa League. It's the main concern for me.
I tend to agree with both of you saying that they weren't a great side tonight. Like, often when you watch football, your eyes often don't lie to you, and they didn't look a great side. They didn't seem to move the ball about well. They didn't even seem to press the game well in the first half. They clearly did a bit in the second half, and we looked a bit uncomfortable. But this is a team that finished third in the Czech League last year, and they only finished 4 or 5 points away from Sparta Prague. We know what Sparta Prague were like last season. Now, I know we were a complete basket case, probably a lot weaker than we are even now. But I don't know. I think we do need to give ourselves a bit of credit for going there and winning 4-2. And I know both of you have given us credit, so I'm not saying you've not. But I do think that was a really good win tonight. Bits of the performance, the defence certainly needs to improve. But I keep going back to it. Ralston isn't going to be a right back this season. Well, I certainly hope he's not. And Nir Bitton isn't going to be a centre back. So those 2 positions will be improved upon, certainly. And I think when that defence becomes, constant and solid, and they've got a goalkeeper behind them who they trust, I think we will go from strength to strength. What do we think of the goalkeeper tonight then, Stevie? He replaced Barkas, and he was certainly barking some orders tonight. You could hear him during the second half roaring at his defence.
Well, starting with the positives of Joe Hart, first off, it is his first game and he's got a win, so that's that for a start. I thought in the first set piece that he had to deal with, he was screaming, he was barking, as you say, and that was good. We haven't seen enough of that for Celtic goalkeepers, not just Barkas, but Bain and Hazard last season. They're very timid, they're not aggressive enough, and we need that type of goalie. We need that, a Boric type sort of presence at the back again. So that was welcome. But I really did feel with Hart at times, and I think he will grow into the system. I'm hoping he grows into the system, but I did feel at times that some of his passing and distribution was pretty wayward. I thought his distribution to the fullbacks, I mean, I made a comment on the account saying that he's not playing with Zabaleta and Kolarov, this is like Taylor and Ralston, so he was playing, very half-hearted passes to them, and they were really, really under pressure, and you saw him struggling at the back with that. I think Hart needs to get it into his system, that he has to just get the ball and just play it as quick as possible to the players in our team who are very comfortable on the ball, your McGregors and your Tumbles, and then just the play can go through them. But at the same time, I don't want to be too critical, because I think he will slowly ease into the system. I thought that Hart, with the ball at his feet at least, when the ball was, when the ball get passed back to him, he was looking to play it quietly. He wasn't dilly-dallying about with the ball, and that was good. Could have done better, I would say. Wasn't a big presence for the first goal. Didn't make himself as big as he could have. Second goal, question marks as well. But again, I don't want to be overly negative after this. An overdue Celtic win, and the fact that I'm sure he will, he will improve. Famous last words, but I think he will improve with us.
Hopefully he does. Hopefully that goes for the entire team. Let's just briefly have a look at the team that started tonight then, and let's just between us work out how far away we are from being full-strength Celtic this season. Obviously James McCarthy, we think is going to be a starter for Celtic. He's going to go into the first team, probably take Sorrow's place. So the team tonight was Hart, Ralston, Beaton, Starfelt, Taylor, Sorrow, McGregor, Turnbull, Abada, Forrest and Furuhashi. So kind of back four and goalkeeper, David, you thinking Ralston and Beaton are the obvious ones to be improved upon?
Yeah, I think the manager is still trying to actually find out what his strongest 11 are, and I think that's probably going to be the case till he gets all his signings in, really. Ralston, Beaton and Greg Taylor for me too. I think we need an upgrade at left back. If we are serious about European football, Greg Taylor will do a great job for you domestically. I think he's proven that during his time here with a bit of confidence, but we need an upgrade there. We need a better defender at left back. We need a more productive overlapping full back at left back. I don't think we have it in Taylor. So I would say there's, if we're being straight up, there's probably still 3 more additions we need across the back line. I agree with Stevie about Joe Hart. I actually think Joe Hart will be a very good goalkeeper. I thought tonight it's so easy to poke holes, but I think if you look at the situation he's been in, guy played 10 games last season. It might seem because of who Joe Hart's played for in the past that this was a straightforward occasion for him tonight. Massive pressure on Joe Hart tonight coming into this game. Massive pressure. Knowing the Celtic goalkeeping situation that we've had, he's been identified as the man that's going to fix this. And his first game's come totally out of the blue. Just 2 days after signing, I thought he did okay, and I think there'll be improvements in his decision making, and I think there'll be improvements in how he commands his penalty area. I agree with Stevie again. I thought he showed some leadership qualities, which was promising. But yeah, sorry, go back to your point about the defence. 3 additions for me, Hamish, and no less if we're being serious.
Okay, middle to front, James McCarthy we think is going to come in for Sorrow. But where else then are we looking to strengthen? Is it backup players we're looking to bring in? Is there any other first team players, that of the team that started tonight that you think could drop out? Stevie?
I think if we're being serious as well, and I agree with what David was saying as well, with that defence, definitely, and the players we need to bring in there. I think, if you're talking about the Sorrow is going to be replaced by our new addition, then I honestly do feel that we have to look about upgrading David Turnbull as well. I'm not being harsh when I say that. I don't think he's been anywhere near the standard that he's been always capable of. And last season, yeah, he was a star in what was a very, very poor Celtic side. But we are looking to be, it's not that same Celtic side anymore. And his decision making at times today, there was one in the first half where I think he could have played in Abada. He goes to shoot, and that was like the stuff where last season that probably might have been in. But it's just decision makings like that. When you see Abada and how on fire he was and how his decision making is good, you play that in, and a good midfielder there has the vision to play that sort of ball in, and we've got a more comfortable scoring into half team. So I would say if we really have to upgrade in David Turnbull, I don't think for what we've seen it's good enough. and I'm not being harsh when I say that. I know the problems he's had to overcome as well, but I do think we need an upgrade on David Turnbull as well in the middle of the park.
Final say, David?
Yeah, I mean, I think, for me personally, we saw Turnbull last season when he initially came into the team. I think he can be a quick thinker on the ball. I don't know if he's just so drained of confidence, even with the new manager coming in. Don't know how much last season's had an effect on him. I think when I'm looking at priorities in the squad, just for me, the number 10 position, or where Turnbull operates for Celtic, I don't think is a massive concern at the minute. We should have the quality there. I think Ange will need to try and get them firing. I think it's the same with Ryan Christie if he's going to be sticking around a bit longer. I think there's players with talent there that are capable of playing for Celtic on a consistent basis. I don't particularly think the midfield needs too much tweaking. Talk about McCarthy coming in. I think he'll be an improvement in what we've got there. But just around about, I think there's quality there to achieve the targets we want this season. And I would also personally still want another centre forward to play.
Nisbet's the obvious one, isn't he? That's who
Nisbet
everyone kind of wants.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Kevin Nisbet. I don't think Stevie is. There's his reaction
I could just see that for the reaction. I don't want to go into a massive Kevin Nisbet rabbit hole, but briefly, Stevie.
Let Stevie make his point about Nisbet.
I actually like Kevin Nisbet, and I wouldn't be opposed to us signing him. I just think we need a real physical presence as well up front, because there's not going to be games like that all the time. We ran them ragged, yeah, but there's going to be games where teams do sit behind the ball and they're going to be bullying us. And I think our centre forwards are all quite lightweight, and you do need a battering ram up front. I do feel we need a right presence, and I'd like to see us, invest in someone like that this season. I'm not saying I know the answer of who we can go and get, but I'm not working for Celtic in their scouting department, so it's up to the club to achieve that. But I do think we need a real physical presence up front to mix it up a wee bit, definitely in the league this season.
Interesting times, guys. I feel a bit better than I did at the start of the night anyway. We've got a 4-2 win away from home in the Europa League. We're looking good for the playoff round against AZ Alkmaar. We're going to leave it there because I think a couple of us certainly have got plans this evening. Hopefully all of you watching have plans as well, because you need to celebrate a positive Celtic result. We don't get them very often. Stevie, David, thanks very much for joining me. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and we'll speak to you all very soon.